Padres signed James Shields. Obviously, that's a pretty big signing. Their roster is really overhauled. They got Matt Kemp, they got Justin Upton, they added Derek Norris. Is that a team that's going to pose some problems to the Nationals, or is there some other team that they should be looking out for?
I mean, I think the Padres first have to worry about getting out of their own division.
Yeah, which is tough.
It's
sure.
a brutal division, and the Dodgers didn't necessarily get worse. I mean, they still have probably the second best rotation if you're going to give it
definitely
the first.
Definitely 1-2, though. You could argue maybe the best in terms of 1-2.
Right. They could be better than the Nationals even. And that said, I mean, the Padres obviously have overhauled in a way that we haven't seen, both in organizational mindset and just the amount of talent they brought in.
Sure.
And they've got a pretty loaded lineup. It's a little right-handed heavy, but if you're going to go against Clayton Kershaw and Madison Bumgarner, maybe that's how you do it. But I mean, they're definitely a team to worry about, but they're a little unproven. And as the Nats can tell you, it takes a few tries to kind of get down that playoff stretch run and get down the playoff experience. So I don't know that they're necessarily the biggest threat coming even out of the West.
Are the Nats a clear favorite to you, Neil, or is there someone else that?
I mean, it's between them and the Dodgers. But even if you consider the Nationals a 90-win team, the Padres would have to add 13 wins from last year's total just to get to where the Nats are, and that's difficult. Even with the signings, I mean, Shields is a great signing, but there's a reason why he lasted as long as he did in free agency. He's not the guy that's going to. He's not a 10-win difference guy. Maybe he adds 1 or 2 wins. So no, I don't think the Padres are going to cause any problems. I think you look at the Dodgers first, perhaps the Cardinals second, and then after that, who knows? But the Nationals are in very good position in terms of the National League. I don't think they'll have a problem coming out of the National League.
I also wanted to ask you about the Shields and Scherzer comparison. You wrote a little about that. Just tell us what the numbers bore out there in terms of who got the better value.
Oh, surprisingly, I mean, the value for Scherzer, even after you look at all the how much more money he gets, is a better value once you discount the money to today's dollars, because a lot of that money is deferred.
Yeah.
But the Padres are getting what they paid for. They paid for a very reliable starter. They're paying him decent value. But Scherzer actually provides more value over those first 4 years than Shields does by quite a large margin, and which is surprising because typically when a team pays the big free agent, there's like a loser's curse, right? They have to pay the most money, so they don't always get the best value. But it really does look like, based on some projections and even taking into account the aging curves, that the Nats made a really nice signing with Scherzer.
Well, Scott, is there anyone the Nats should be looking out for? Is it San Diego, maybe the Dodgers, San Francisco, St. Louis, someone else?
I think it's a little bit too early to anoint the Padres a legitimate contender. I mean, you mentioned some of the signings. And the roster construction right now, I mean, they've got as many potentially starting outfielders as the Nationals do starting pitchers.
That's a good point.
So, I mean, A.J. Preller, the GM there, potential to still make some moves and bring in some extra pieces. But as Chelsea said, I mean, I think the Dodgers, you take those top 2 pitchers in Greinke and Kershaw, and then Yasiel Puig, that lineup, that's still just the more intimidating team in the NL West.
Losing Matt Kemp, though, I mean, how does that going to factor in? I mean, that's a big bat there that you're losing.
Yeah, the Dodgers are really high on Jock Peterson sliding into that outfield. The Dodgers had the same problem that the Padres did kind of last year with too many outfielders finding playing time for them. So that's out of the way. I still think they're the biggest threat.